Howdy everybody. Dave here. We're going to do a Fantasy Grounds tutorial on how to create a module from A to Z. And I'm going to show you everything that I know how to do. And I don't know everything about Fantasy Grounds, but I'm going to try my darndest to show you guys how to create a module pretty efficiently. Now, I created a video about 3 weeks ago. It ended up being 3.5 hours long. There was just way too much information in it. It was too bloated, and I decided to scratch it. So this is a new video, and I hope you guys do enjoy it. And if you're asking yourself what a module can be several things in Fantasy Grounds. A module can be something that you store an adventure on. A module can be something that you create to store player-only data that only players can see, and a module can be a mod that only game masters and DMs, such as yourself, would be able to see with like all of your monsters and your items and stuff, so your players can't see them. So that's what a module is. And if you are a new person to Fantasy Grounds, you'll probably find this rather useful. But if you're a savvy veteran, and I know there's a whole ton of great Fantasy Grounds users out there, you guys already probably know everything about Fantasy Grounds, and this is pretty much out of probably not even going to be helpful for you because you already know how to do it. So, all right, creating a module. We're going to need some tools, guys. First thing we're gonna need is something to take your images out of a PDF, all of the data out of the PDF. So you can use Adobe. You can also, and it's on pretty much every computer, I think. You can also use Foxit Reader. You can use Foxit Reader, and they're actually pretty good. I use both of them because they do different things. So now we're going to be taking images out of a PDF and putting them into Fantasy Grounds. And you guys should already know how to create an image. You should know how to, make a JPEG. So I'm not going to show you how to do that. We're just going to take the finished images and upload them in. We're also going to take a look at putting a lot of raw data into Fantasy Grounds. So if you copy paste an entire page or 2, 3, 4 pages of a PDF, you'll be able to format it. You'll be able to put bold titles, you'll be able to italicize, you'll be able to put headers, you'll be able to do all kinds of cool stuff with that text. Now we're also going to need another tool called Notepad++, and it's free. You can get that online. And Notepad++ is basically going to take all of the line breaks out of the PDF when you copy it. Now most PDFs, when you copy that stuff and you just paste it right onto a journal page in Fantasy Grounds, it'll be all double space, sometimes triple space. So what the Notepad++ does is it basically, you paste it into that first, and then you highlight everything, and then you Control-J it to strip all of the bars out, and then it'll make it one big block of words. That's what you want. And then you take that, you copy it, and then you paste it into Fantasy Grounds. And then you can follow along in your PDF and separate all the paragraphs, the headers, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that in one fell swoop. So we're also going to take a look at building an encounter, and also building a loot parcel, and also building a rollable table. So we're going to try to pretty much touch on every single thing that you would possibly need for Fantasy Grounds and building a module and having this module, and once we're done putting all this together, you'll export it into a .mod file, and you'll have this file forever as long as you don't lose it or delete it or anything. So if you want to run games with FG Con, Fantasy Grounds has a con that they do multiple times a year. You can run the same adventure if you want to and have new players every time. That way you never have to prep this only but once. If you want to play a new game that doesn't have an official plugin, maybe like Demon of the Shadow Lords, or maybe something like 13th Age or Fantasy Age, you can import all of the player data and the GM data separately, and you can have your own drag and drop stuff. And it is time consuming, but it's a one-time it's a one-time deal. So anyways, we'll go ahead and get started. I've rambled on enough, and that's what a module can do. And we're gonna, like I said, I'm gonna show you guys how to do pretty much all of that stuff. The first thing you're going to want to do is create a campaign, and just hit the create a campaign button and type whatever name you want in there to be your master campaign. Where you're saying, well, Dave, I thought you said this is creating a module. And well, this is creating a module, because you're going to have to create a campaign to store all of your information. And then once you're done, you can export that into that .mod file that I was talking about. And that .mod file will always be able to be updated, changed if anything's wrong. As long as you still have the original campaign mod, you can go back in and amend or put errata in there, anything you want to, and change it, and it'll automatically update that mod file for you. So it's really nice. So don't get rid of the campaign. Just kind of maybe store it in another folder or something like that. Or if you don't mind having a bunch of campaigns up there, just keep it there, and maybe label it something that you're going to be able to easily identify it. So for this video, I'm going to be using the Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition rule set. So it comes free with Fantasy Grounds, so it's going to be pretty easy for everybody to use. We're going to drag and drop monsters, loot, all that good stuff. So name your campaign, and then choose the 5e rule set or whatever rule set you want. If the game doesn't have a rule set, then you will use the RPG, Core RPG, and it does recognize all of the dice, and you can create your own sheets in there, your own monster sheets. You can also get a More Core extension that is on the Fantasy Grounds forums, which adds a lot, especially to the combat tracker and character sheets linked together, so that's a good thing as well. So we'll be using 5e for this. Name your campaign, start the game, and I'll see you guys in just a second. Alright everybody, as you can see, I've got my campaign created. It is an empty 5e shell. There's no information in it whatsoever. And when I create a module, I like to do everything very nice and neat and organized. And I have a system that I'm going to show you guys of how I do this. Now, I'm not running my webcam anymore for this video because I just don't. I know you guys want to see my beautiful face and all, but I just don't want my big fat head up in the way, covering stuff up to where you guys are not going to be able to see some certain things. So, sorry about that. Now you guys want to see my face, but no, not anymore for this video. Alright, so talking about organization. I'd love to have a module that's super organized. And I love to have everything in order. From GM notes at the beginning, all the way to, part 1, part 2, part 3, all the way down to the end. Now, for this particular module that we're going to create, we're going to be using the Tomb of Tiberish. Alright? And this is an Egyptian-themed, really cool little Egyptian-themed adventure with a mummy that's, was one time was a ruler and then became a mummy. And then there's this tomb that's, basically evil and has all kinds of curses. So the adventurers have to go in, find all of the artifacts that, the Tiberish actually sold. So we're going to have fun putting this together. And I like how in a PDF you can take the images out. Like if I want to take that image out while using Adobe, I can take this gypsy, which her name is Galena Ilamasi. I can show the players as they meet Galena. I can show them this image. And when you do that, it basically stimulates your players' brains. Oh, okay, so this is what the gypsy looks like, and then you can kind of get into role play. Here's another image. This is the double doors to the entrance of the actual Tomb of Tiberish itself. So as they're at the entrance to the tomb, this is what I want to show them. So it's going to kind of put them in the mood, so to speak. Here's the actual Tomb of Tiberish. I'm going to have that in there. Every image here in this module will have in there. Here's the funerary complex. Here's a really cool scarab, and like a beetle scarab, And then there's also one more piece of art that has like a treasure chest and a scorpion. We'll put that in there also. So we're going to take advantage of all of this art, because that's what Dungeons and Dragons is all about. Is about fantasy and about seeing things that make you want to RP and roleplay and stuff. So images we're definitely going to use. Alright, so I've already taken images out. I've already taken the map out. And to put these images into Fantasy Grounds, it's super simple. On the right hand side, go to your images and maps. And, you know, like I said, if you're already a veteran of Fantasy Grounds, you already know how to do this. This is for, you know, new folks to Fantasy Grounds. This is, you know, for them. So you can do it one of two ways. You can take an image, like here's the Tomb of Tiberish, the cover. You can just drop it right there. Or if you want to open the folder, you can see that there's my tomb in there now, and it is in the campaigns folder. And I renamed the campaign instead of just test campaign. I renamed this to Tomb of Tiberish 5e master file. So I know that this is always going to be the master file, and I'll be able to update it all the time. So I'm going to take a couple more images and drop them in there. Now, I'm just going to X that out, and I can view the images. So here's Tiberish. Well, this isn't Tiberish. I'm going to have to rename this one, but this is actually the Gypsy. So, perfect. You know, I actually added a black border around it. It was a PNG image when I took it out of the PDF, but I put a white background behind it. And you guys should probably already know how to do this. So, now, when you're sharing an image, you right-click it, and on the left-hand side, you're going to see this big old cow head right here. It says sharing. Hit that, and then you're going to want to hit share sheet. And when you hit share sheet, it's going to basically pop up this image for everyone that's in the game. All right, so that's how you share an image. Here's my tomb entrance. You do the same thing to share it. Just right-click on the image, go to the guy shouting here, and just hit it, and then hit sharing again. Bam, share sheet, and it you know, it'll share it to anyone. Now, if you want to share it to individual people, you can do that as well, and you'll need characters logged in. Now, in the upper left-hand corner, you guys, when you have a character logged in, they'll have the portraits up here. So all you'll want to do is just drag this and drop that image on their portrait up top, and then that way it'll open it up just for them. Or you can, you know, drag it and drop it on two individual people. Pretty cool, really cool feature. So here's my here's the cover of the adventure all together. I'm going to put that in there, and here's the lower level of the tomb. And you can, you know, expand that up, and you know, you can drag and drop, and well, you can't drag and drop, but you can drag the image size. You can also hold down Control, and you know, without using the handle, you just kind of make it the size that you want. You can mouse scroll, zooming in and out, and that's how you import maps and images. And I'm going to show you guys how to link these and all that good stuff. So you'll notice that this map in the PDF, unfortunately, this is a Dungeon Master map that has all of the secret locations and stuff. So I mean, this wouldn't be a very good map to show the players, because they'll metagame the hell out of it. So that's when you're going to use Photoshop or Paint.net or GIMP or something like that, to where you can modify that and get rid of all the numbers and stuff. And you can do that easily just by using layers and cutting out one of these blocks and just setting it on top of the other numbers and stuff. So it's really easy to do. It's a little time consuming, but hey, it's worth it in the end. Or if you're a great cartographer, you could just make a new map on your own. Alright, so now what I also want to show you is when you buy Fantasy Grounds, there are also a bunch of free maps that are inside of Fantasy Grounds that a lot of people don't even know about. So how you activate those, because you have to manually activate those, you need to go to your library. Now, lower right hand corner, hit the library button, and we're going to click on lower left hand corner, click on modules. Now when you click on modules, you're going to see that you get a couple free map packs, and they are called FG Battle Maps. Okay? Well, actually, you get one free pack, and it's called FG Battle Maps. So all you want to do is just open that up, and when you open it up, voila, now it is in your library. And also, if you open up the images and maps, you'll have a tab down here that says FG Battle Maps. And then here's all kinds of cool maps that you get for free from Fantasy Grounds. It gives you some Underdark caves and tunnels. It gives you a couple street maps, and it also gives you some outdoor battle maps, caves, and stuff like that. So really cool. So what I want to do is I want to show you how to put basically a battle grid on one of these maps. So let's just open up any old map here, and this is how you put a grid on the map. You just open up the map that you want to put the grid on, because you have to have grids if you're going to be using tokens and whatnot. And if you don't have the grid on there, then the system's not going to recognize the size of the creature, the reach of the creature, etc., and etc. And you won't have a properly sized token. So you have to have a grid. So to put a grid on the map, it's super easy to do, guys, especially in Fantasy Grounds. You just right-click it, go to Layers, click on Layers, and then at the very bottom, it's a Set Grid. Now to set the grid, you're going to have a new, sort of like a new pointer come up. And it's going to be a star. Now you line this thing up perfectly to where you're going to be able to get a perfect square. And some maps will line up perfectly, some maps won't. It just depends on how the file was created and the file was saved. So these maps are actually really, really easy to put grids on. So once you get it lined up, you just hold down the left mouse button and you just drag it. And once you get to about 50, it's perfect for these maps. So you let go of it, look at that, perfect. A perfect grid. And this map is ready to go now. Now, here's one more really quick thing to take into consideration as well, guys and gals. Now, at the top of the bar up here for your map, there is a hashtag. Now, if you open that up, that is the toggle grid toolbar. And if your grid doesn't line up perfectly, we'll say that the grid is off a little bit to the left and a little down. You'll see that you can take this navigation tool and you can just navigate it perfectly to where it'll line up. And there's also a plus and minus. Sometimes you'll make a grid a little bit bigger than what you should have made it, so you can hit the minus key to shrink that down 1 unit size. Or if you didn't make the grid big enough, you can enlarge it by 1 unit size with the addition key. So it really makes it easy to put a grid on the map. Alright, so after you got your grid, you want to put Fog of War. That's, if you want the players to kind of have that mystery as to not being able to see the whole entire map. So to put Fog of War on the map, you right click it, go to Layers again, and then on the right hand side, hit Enable Mask. And when you enable mask, boom, it puts a gray fog. The players can't see anything but a pure black canvas. Now make sure the little smiley face is basically smiling at you and highlighted, and you can just go ahead and uncover the map as they pretty much explore this place. And then as they come into the first room, you can say, oh, okay, you can see there's an entrance to the east and to the south. And then as the characters come to the south, then you can go ahead and open up this down here and say, okay, another identical chamber with another corridor going east and south, and etc., etc. And as the characters move around, you would unlock, or basically uncover more of the map. So it gives the players a sense of, hey, what's around this corner? We can't see these tokens and whatnot. So, and especially with the combat tracker, how you're able to keep tokens invisible, I really love that. So, alright, so that's pretty much everything to do with maps, putting a grid on them, also putting a Fog of War or mask layer on there. So, and like I said, don't forget to activate your free maps, because they do come with Fantasy Grounds, and they're actually really nice maps. Alright, so next let's go ahead and take a look at some tokens. So to put tokens into your Fantasy Grounds game is the same way as pretty much doing the maps and images. And all you want to do is just take and go to the GM folder, hit the GM folder. These are all the tokens that you will be able to access. There's a shared button down here, and the shared button are tokens that your players can have access to. Then there's a module button here, and then the store button. And the store button basically will bring you to the Fantasy Grounds store and show you tokens for sale. Now, as for the modules, there are also some free tokens that you will get in Fantasy Grounds. Actually, really nice top-down tokens or pogs. So you can go ahead and hit the modules, and we'll activate those. So these animal pogs, you can get the pogs are the circle pictures with the circle rim around it, and then here's the animal tokens. So you can have those in pogs, or you can have them at top-down clear PNGs. All my tokens, you can see, have a gray base at the bottom, because it gives me that sense of I'm actually really picking up that token and putting it on the table with the square base and whatnot. So I've done that with all my tokens. It took forever, but it was well worth it to me, and I like that. So you get the animal pogs. So there's 2 sets of tokens. You'll also get the character pogs, which are all kinds of NPCs, humans, elves, whatnot. You'll get those in pogs and tokens, and you can just go ahead and activate them. Just drag the books open, and it will just continue to add more bags of tokens to your game. And scroll down, here is a letters and a letter token, so you get those as well. And I believe there's monsters. So yes, there's monster pogs, monster tokens. So you get actually quite a bit of free stuff from Fantasy Grounds, which is actually really nice. And then here's the bags. Here's your animal pogs. Those are all the animal pogs you get. Alright. Then here's the animal tokens. So you can see now they don't have the circular rim around them. They're just clear top-down PNGs. And let's see, here's the character pogs, and then the character tokens, and you can see rinse and repeat, and they give you a lot for free. I mean, it's really nice, and it's not like these aren't junky or anything. I mean, these are actually really nice. I mean, there's actually a lot of monster tokens. I mean, there's gelatinous cubes and fire elementals, and these things look good, man. These things are really nice. They're not junk, that's for sure. So you have access to free tokens. A lot of people don't know that, and a lot of people are like, oh man, I never knew that. So now you do. Alright, and then you can import those and organize them any way you'd like. Alright, so we've already taken care of all that, so now we know how to upload images, we know how to put a mask on there for Fog of War, we know how to go ahead and put a grid on a map, and we know how to upload tokens. So let's go on to the next section. Okie dokie. So the next part of this tutorial, we're going to be taking a look at building encounters with monsters, building EXP parcels for quest. We're going to be building loot parcels, and we're going to be building a rollable table. Now, I'm not really building the module yet. And remember, I talked about being organized. And all of this that I'm doing now, like uploading the images, the tokens, the maps, Fog of War, all of the, putting all of the grids on the maps, this is what I call legwork. And once I get all of this done, then I can put everything together. Copy pasting text, that's the easiest thing to do. And that's what, the last portion of the tutorial is going to be about. So once we have all of that done, I don't have to, when you're building the module, there's nothing more frustrating than, you're on a roll, you're getting all your paragraphs separated, you're getting all of the formatting that you want done, your titles, and then all of a sudden you need an image. So you have to stop what you're doing, you're on a roll, then you have to, take the image, make it a file, upload it in, or build an encounter. So that's why I like to do this first. It's not, it's not the wrong way, it's not the right way, it's just the way that I do it, and everybody does things differently. And that's the beautiful thing about mankind. If everybody did everything the same, this world would be a very boring place. So continuing on. Alright, first thing I'm going to do is build a encounter. And the encounter is going to be basically, it's going to be attached to the map. It will be also attached to the primary handout for that particular location. Now remember, we are doing the Tomb of Tiberish. And the first encounter that I can actually see is in location 8 in the storage room. And it's basically where you kind of fall upon 4 gnolls that are grave robbers. So we are going to go ahead and build an encounter for a gnoll pack lord and 3 gnolls. And that's going to be really easy. I know those are in the monster manual for D&D 5th edition. So we will go ahead and build this encounter. So the first thing we want to do is import our monsters that we're going to be using in. Alright? And when you make your campaign, much like the maps, you don't have anything loaded, so you have to go to your modules again and put any kind of sources that you want for information. For this, I'm just going to use the Dungeons and Dragons Monster Manual that I purchased from the FG store, so I know that the gnolls and the gnoll pack lord is already there. All right, it may be in the 5e SRD. I'm not too sure. I haven't opened them up, but those are free, and it does come with Fantasy Grounds, which is, I mean, that's really awesome. All right, so what I want to do first is open up my NPCs tab. Now, it's empty. It has nothing in it whatsoever. Now, I want to go to the NPCs, and I'm going to go to alphabetical index, and I'm just going to type in gnoll. Okay, so there you go. I got the gnoll popped up, so I'm going to drag the gnoll in here, and I'm going to drag the gnoll pack lord. So those are my first 2 NPCs that I'm putting into the module. Alright, I'm done with this. I don't need this anymore for the encounter. Alright? Boom. Those are the 2 monsters that I need. Now I need to build the encounter. So you click on the encounter button up here at the top. And this basically works in tune with your basically your party sheet. And once you have your party you have your parties logged into the game, you'll drag and drop them onto the party sheet, and then therefore the encounter parcel will grant them the proper XP. That's if you're using EXP. D&D also uses a milestone system, which is what I use. But if you're still into the numerical part of it, where you want to add 20, 30 XP at a time, you can do that, and you can just drag and drop a parcel when you have it created into the party sheet on XP, and it'll literally divide everything up depending on who's in the party, and bam, it'll award them the XP. Really cool. And I'll show you guys how to do that. So, alright, so let's create an encounter. Right click on the encounters. When you open up the encounter, it'll pop up here. We need to create this new encounter. Alright, so we're going to click on it, and we are going to name this encounter Lower Tomb Roommate. Okay, that's what it is. Now, we don't have any monsters in here. To do that, we got to drag the monsters in here. Drag the gnoll in there. Drag the warlord. Oh wow! Look at that. I have tokens in there too. And I did this on purpose. I'm going to show you guys how to change your tokens too. So go into the gnoll character sheet and hit the unlock. When you unlock it, you'll be able to put a token in there. I have a bunch of gnoll tokens already, and I like my gnoll tokens better than the D&D art. So what I'll do is I will take this gnoll here and drag it on, and he'll be the gnoll now. Alright, I'll lock it back up, close it, and that saves it. Anything that's in the NPC folder, it'll save it. So here's the gnoll lord. Let's go ahead and get the gnoll with the big axe. Let's go ahead and get him in there. He'll be the gnoll lord. Okay, lock that back up. Now you just delete these. All right, because I wanted to show you that. There you go. Now when you do it, your correct tokens will come up on your character sheet. So we don't need the NPCs anymore. We can just shut that. Now we want to change this to 3 gnolls. Remember, there's 3 gnolls and 1 gnoll pack lord. Perfect. Alright, now there's 3 nulls, 1 pack warlord. So we want to open up our map. Alright, see, now that we have this, you can go ahead and refresh the CR and it mathematically calculates it for you. It is a challenge rating 4.